Alright, we're about to change the hydraulic transmission fluid on this Branson 3520R. You can see it right there. I ain't seen a lot of videos on how to do this, so I'm gonna make one pretty quick. Taking this watch off. You will need about 9 gallons universal tractor transmission hydraulic fluid, not hydraulic fluid. This works on all that. This is your transmission and your hydraulic fluid. I get the Traveler Premium from Tractor Supply. It's about 8 or 9 gallons that this thing's gonna hold. And there is the part number for the filter. We're also gonna pull the screen out and clean it too. You need some filter wrenches, whatever size is gonna fit this. This one's almost too small, this one's too big, but we're gonna make it work. I can tear it up getting it off, just can't tear this one going on. TA00025525B is the filter for this thing. And you're gonna need, if you ain't got a big drain pan, I'm gonna have to fill this thing up and plug it up and then pour that into a bucket and then stick it back under there. Fill this other one up. But if you got a big one, it makes it a lot easier, and you can't get these 5-gallon buckets on there unless you drove the tractor up on something high. I don't have none of that. So we're gonna scoot this up underneath there, under the pan. 2 tools. We're gonna need a 11/16 and a 12mm. This is gonna be for the screen that we're gonna pull off and clean with a parts cleaner or brake cleaner. Either one will work. Just get the junk off of it. And this is gonna be for the actual transmission drain plug, 11/16. So we'll get underneath here. Might need a pair of needle nose pliers because we may have to take this little pin out, this little linkage to drop it down, because this right here is the screen that's got to be pulled out and cleaned, and it's going to be pretty long. It may not come out without this pin pulled and dropping this linkage out of the way. So I've already got it pre-pulled. There's pliers sitting there. I done worked it out, so we'll do it right up underneath here, in front of this little front drive shaft, or drive shaft cover, because this doesn't spin. This is the plug we're going to pull. Supposedly 8 or 9 gallons is going to come out of this thing. We're going to bust it loose. I'm going to have to stay here to watch this pan, because like I said, I'm going to have to plug it back up before this thing fills up, because if I don't, it's going to overflow. We're just going to have to take it and pour it into the bucket and do it again. It's going to be messy. It's going to be fun. Just when you think it's done, it ain't. It's about 8 or 9 gallons. Forgot what he told me. I made a phone call. One of these servicemen said it was 8 or 9, something like that. I can't remember. But regardless, when we get it out, we're going to fill it up close enough to ballpark when it's in the window. And once it's in that window, I can get it on level ground, fill it to the center of it. Be good to go. Should be anyway. That's the plan. Alright. Good and drain. Good enough. We're still going to drip for a little while, but we still got to clean the screen and change that filter. Plus in your hydraulics, all that fluid's still trapped in there. It doesn't 100% drain. You're going to have some old fluid that's in the hydraulics mixed with this. We're going to get that tight. Snug it down. That's all of that. Now we're going to scoot this over underneath the oil filter, and we'll come back and do this screen. That's going to make a mess. There's going to be a lot inside of that. Hope I can take it off and let it drain. Spin, booger. There we go. Alright. Did better than I thought we did. That wasn't too bad. I thought it'd be a mess load of fluid come out of here. And you ain't got to prime this thing, you just put the other one back on. I'm gonna dump that. We're back under here with the new filter. We're just gonna wipe off the edge and clean it. If you can power wash your tractor and get all the mud and loose dirt from the area off, that'd just be fabulous. You don't get contaminants in there. That's clean. Let's peel the cap off. Perfect. Just get it hand tight as I can. Just come back and watch it. Make sure you don't have any drips when you're done. It's good to me. Alright, got the fluid drain, filter changed. Now we're going to pull this screen, and that's what we're going to clean with brake fluid. First start, like I said, I already got my pliers and pulled my little cotter pin. Pull that out of the way. You're going to have a washer and a nut. Get the washer off. A nut, a bolt. Pull that bolt out. That's going to drop out of the way. I say drop. I might be better off putting it up high. Basically what we're going to do is going to get it out of the way, because this is going to have to come out when you do. It's probably going to have to come out through here with this linkage on there. That's going to be in the way. So then you got a mess. Then you got to stop what you're doing, set it back in, and pull that. So first things first, we'll just pop that, get it up out of the way. Now it's out of the way. You got 3 bolts. I had the camera on it for you to see. There's our screen. There's 2 bolts. Right out of the way. Get this other bolt. Get it out of the way. Now let's pull this. That's our hydraulic screen we need to clean. We're going to take this out and kind of wash it down. See, that little linkage would have been in the way, so it's a good idea to do that. Let this drain for a second. We'll take this and clean it with some brake cleaner. There's our screen, see all that junk in there. I'm just going to clean it off really good. Looks pretty good. Got that cleaned off pretty good. We're going to hit it with the air compressor. You see the metal shavings on it, but it's wet, it'll stick, so that air compressor ought to blow that stuff off. Just make sure you got 2 row rings. Make sure them don't blow off. And it looks like they're identical on both sides, so either way you go into it, this way or this way. I've just been holding it from this side. This is the side I pulled out. That'll do it. Clean that out. See all that metal? Kind of blow the dirt off of it. Not getting them in there. Go back in. I'm just using this brake parts cleaner to get the extra dirt off. I'm going to air dry this thing off. I might want to keep my thumb on that O-ring. Ah, looks good. Put that O-ring back in there. Clean that off with the rag. Good and clean. Be careful not to touch anything and get dirt on it. Make sure you got O-rings on both sides. You're gonna go straight back in. I kind of shimmy it. You can feel it fall in that hole. Kind of push it forward. Give it a good seat on that O-ring. That O-ring's still wet, so I don't have to lube it. That looks good. Just do your typical pattern, get them all kind of snug. Not quite snug, get them all close before you tighten them down. That's it. What we are going to do, clean this off, get the leaky stuff off. That way when we fill it up and start it, we'll make sure it gets wet again. Might have had an O-ring jump on you or something. There we go. We drained all the fluid out first. Once the fluid was drained, put this back on, tighten it up. And we went to the filter over here, pulled it off, drained it, cleaned it off, wet your O-ring, put it back on, and went to the screen, cleaned it with the brake cleaner. You can get parts cleaner too, degrease or whatever, that just kind of helps. But pretty much did the air compressor to blow from the inside out, just to get those small little metal shavings from your gears and stuff. But that's what that's designed to do, to keep that going into your hydraulics, because it's all together. Next step, we're going to fill this thing up with fluid. I'm not level right now, so we're going to get it close to the window. I know it's going to take the 5 gallons and a little bit more, but we'll watch that window in the back and I'll show you the window. Once we get it ballpark in that window where it'll operate, I can pull this thing on the level ground and then see what we got from there. Either add a little more or whatnot. That should be it. But right now it's stationary. You can't drive it to anything because it's got no fluid in it. Alright, here we go. What I didn't do while ago, if you had seen earlier in the video, these hydraulics were up. If these were up, that'd be in the way. So I dropped it down while it was draining and stood on the back so these would go down so I could get to this. But anyways, next we're just going to fill this thing with fluid. I don't know if I showed you the window yet, but I'll show you here in a second. It's on the back right beside your PTO spline, shaft, whatever it's called. Still ain't in the window. That's 5 gallons. Of course, you knew it was going to happen. We're just going to look. Now it's quick. I'll show you the window again here in a second. Might have to pour the remainder of this in a little deal just so I can't really get vertical. We're gonna have to bust the open anyways. Alright. Right here's the window. See, we ain't even touching it yet. Like I said, that was almost 5 gallons. There's a little bit in the bottom. I want to pour it into something so I can turn it upside down and finish it. But really won't even have to do that and just pour the remainder in this bucket that's going to be left. But there's a red dot in there. We're going to get this pretty much close to that. And we're not level, but once we get close, it'll be drivable. And we'll put it on level ground, see where it's at from there, and go from there. Let me get this other bucket. Alright, we got pretty much of that 5 gallons in there. We're going to start on the second bucket. I'm surprised I ain't spilt more than I have. Look again. We still ain't there. Let's go. That's close to 9. I'm gonna start it up. There we go. Nothing right now. I'm gonna put this thing in gear, drive it forward, see what we got. So now that all that's on, this your plug and your filter. I'm going to put this linkage back on. Slide that bolt in there. Just like that. I don't know if I had the camera on it, but we're going to get it right here. Line them up. Slide that through. We got a washer. Goes on there. Put your little pin back through it. Back in. Alright, I got about 9 gallons in here. It's right here to the window. Just want to make a note, it didn't fill up to that immediately. I poured, there's probably 1.5 gallons left in that 2 of those 5 gallon buckets, but it didn't fill up immediately. I drove around the block, raising the arms up and down, raising the PTOs up and down. Then it still didn't show when I came back, and I let it sit for a while, and I'm glad I didn't add no more because it's right dead center of the window now, so we're good to go. That's about it. Ain't much more to it. I think I did it right. It's running good, lifting good, and everything's working. So good luck with it. Hope it helps out.